Ladies and gentlemen, it is 11:59. We're about to open the cafe and whew, bit of news today, isn't there? Just a little bit. I can turn it up a little bit, Chris, if that's any better. I think that's as loud as I go. It sounds okay in my headphones. Oh yeah, and don't forget to smash the hearts. Thank you, not Luma, because I can't say that because it sounds a bit beggy and needy, and just it's not very British, is it? Let's be honest. Thank you, Chris. Amazing. Well, I make it midnight o'clock. You see my baby? Oops. All tangled. You see my babies and my big boy and my little boy. Um, it's midnight. I'm Mama, and the cafe is open. So, there's been a bit of news today, hasn't there? Been a little bit of stuff going on. So I thought we'd start off with the boring bit and then just move. Thank you, Laura. I appreciate you begging for me, and I would do the same for you. And then we'll move on to the Mexico stuff because that's kind of big and still in that phase where it's probably getting bigger. It's gone sort of like the cartels, the response from the government, and we're sort of here kind of shaking, and it's either going to go smash or boom. So it's all very exciting. In other news, so I was watching one of your local news stations earlier, and I had I had a moment. Now, anyone who was here, possibly even just yesterday, or it might have been the day before, will know that is it Treasury Secretary Scott Pissant really does nothing for me. I really would. He has got a face I would happily smack in a very non-violent, non-aggressive way because we don't want to encourage violence because then crazy people go and hang around Mar-a-Lago with guns and gas canisters. But we'll come on to that. So, Scott Pissant, when asked on a news station, I forget which one, they're all pretty much the same. It was one of the big ones, that's bought and paid for by Trump. Scott Basement, that's right. And he was asked the big question, according to the decent little reporter person, she was giving it a good go. And she said, the big question is, are the American taxpayers going to get their refunds now that the tariff decision has come down as having been illegal, according to the Supreme Court? Well, after correcting her, Mr. Basement says, no, I have to correct you. That's not the biggest issue. That's not the main question. We need to reframe that. Thinking, no, I think it is. No, I really do think it is. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that is the biggest question for the American people because they don't actually care which statute Trump is now going to try and use to carry on with this crazy tariff nonsense. They just want to know when their prices are going to come down. And so his response, I have to get it not verbatim, but close enough. So his response to the question was, the Supreme Court made no ruling on the issue of repaying these illegal tariffs, all however many billions of pounds it is. They have passed that decision back down to the lower courts, and that could take weeks or months. But we will abide by their decision. I will translate that for you people. We are not giving American people any money back unless and until forced to do so by the court. We're not just going to do it because it's the right thing. What we will do is we'll start off by giving it back to the businesses that have paid it if the courts so decide. And what that will mean is we'll pay it out of government funds. And we all know what government funds is shorthand for taxpayer dollars. So not only have you been ripped off for a year, you're now going to pay the same amount, thereabouts, for the privilege of having been ripped off for a year. So that's the official government statement. We're not giving you any money back unless we're forced to, and we're certainly not going to do any until then. Next news. I'm sure this will be the only thing on President Trump's mind. Well, not the only thing, because just wait for it. Isn't there a British song about that? I think the Beatles wrote it. What did I say? Oh, Mickey, you'll have to remind me what I said. Because it's funny. I was looking for a song that I knew from my childhood, the Not Luma, and I found out that, Taxes on Taxes is there. And I found out this song that I knew so well from my childhood was a flipping Beatles song. I just never, me and the Beatles, never really got it. I'm a sort of generation behind Beatles appreciation and a generation ahead of it becoming cool again. So, the other big news. Is it that big? Or is it just another distraction? A young gentleman aged 21 years old was found roaming around the Mar-a-Lago resort in Florida. Unfortunately, he shouldn't have been there, and he definitely shouldn't have had a great big shotgun and a gas canister with him. Oh, thank you, Not Luma. So, 21-year-old Austin Tucker Martin from Cameron, North Carolina, appears to have entered the resort in a vehicle at the same time another vehicle was exiting the resort. So that's how he managed to get onto the property. He apparently left his home in North Carolina a couple of days ago and was reported missing by his family. So they obviously knew something was up. The last I heard, we hadn't had any update on whether he's had a manifesto or if anybody knows his reason for doing this. Was he trying to assassinate the president because it's the weekend, and we all know Trump doesn't work on the weekend. He goes to play golf. Not that he works during the week, but definitely doesn't work at the weekends. But he wasn't there. Trump was not in Mar-a-Lago. He was still in DC. So Austin enters, he gets confronted by the security services. They order him to drop everything he's carrying. So that's the gun and the gas canister. Apparently he put the gas canister down, then raised the weapon into a shooting position and was neutralized. He's so neutral now, he doesn't even exist. And that's about it. That's all we really know. Yeah, Laurie, that's exactly my reaction. It's like, really? That'd be like the gunshot wound to the ear. Yeah. When was that? That was the early hours of this morning, Not Luma. According to Caroline Levitt, when most of us were still sleeping in our beds. Caroline Levitt doesn't realise that she's talking to an international audience, and most of us were not happily in our beds at about 7 o'clock this morning. But yeah, so 21-year-old Austin Tucker Martin from Cameron, North Carolina, will not be seeing his 22nd birthday. We don't know why. We don't know if he's a Trump hater, if he's a recently reformed, one of the many, many, many Americans who feel horribly let down because they believed that Trump would make things better for them. And you absolutely, whatever you think of Trump, whatever you think of people who voted for him, you cannot blame people with no better information, no higher level of education, no ability to critically evaluate, for being told by someone who was president, we're going to sort the mess out of the last 4 years and we're going to make your lives better. Doesn't matter if there's been a mess for the last 4 years. If your life has felt messy, then you want to hear that it's going to get better. And do I believe the report or distraction? Oh, no, I believe there was a 21-year-old called Austin Tucker Martin from Cameron, North Carolina, and I believe he's dead now. And there were pictures on the news of the shotgun. It's a terrible picture, so I'm not sure if the gas canister was in the picture as well, but I believe he was there and he's now dead, and he probably shouldn't have been, but who knows why. And I was going to say who cares, but I care because there is a 21-year-old human who is now dead. And I don't think he needed to be. And I'm not criticizing the Secret Service. You know, if somebody's facing me with a gun raised, ready to shoot, I'm not sure I would be trying just to disarm them. I would be trying to neutralize them, especially if that's my job, whether the president's there or not. But you don't go and try and enter the weekend resort of the President of the United States with a shotgun and a gas canister unless you're really quite upset about something. You know, he's not there for the pools. And that makes me sad. So I'm sorry, Austin Tucker Martin, that you felt you had to do that. And I'm sorry that you've lost your life. And I'm sorry that's the way things are at the moment. And I'm very, very grateful that you weren't able to hurt anybody else. I don't know if I do believe them. I think in this crazy world we're living in, it's as likely that a deranged person, as Trump likes to call them, a distressed person, managed to penetrate the perimeter of Mar-a-Lago and had a gun with him, which apparently he bought on the way down from North Carolina to Florida. So to add this level of detail, you would think there might be some truth to it. But I am equally as happy to believe that somebody would do such a, I don't want to say crazy or insane, would do such a extreme thing. I'm as happy to believe that that's a thing that happened as I am that they made it all up totally and that he wasn't armed, but they'll soon find a gun to pin on him. Either could be true. In this reality that we're living through, neither would surprise me. And that's pretty much all we know. People are very stressed these days, Laurie. Exactly. And it is sad. And this shouldn't be happening. Nobody should go and invade somebody else's home with a gun and a gas canister. Nobody should be feeling so distressed that they want to go and invade somebody's home with a gas canister and a shotgun. Yeah, I mean, the explanation, Summer, from the Secret Service as to how he managed to penetrate the impenetrable Mar-a-Lago is there was a vehicle coming out and he drove in his vehicle. Hey, Gina! Gina, you're just arriving at the good part, i.e. we finished talking about the Trump government. Well, mostly. Of course, the Trump government has got its tentacles in the Mexico craziness. Christopher, are you new? Please pull up a chair, get comfy, beanbag if you prefer, wrap yourself in a blanket, hot milky beverage or something adult, and just get comfortable. And we're just going through the news. We've talked about how the Treasury Secretary is not going to give the money back to the American people unless he's forced to do so. His words, not mine. He entered the grounds. I don't know quite how the Mar-a-Lago resort is set up, but he drove into the ground in a vehicle as another vehicle was exiting by the north gates. Means nothing to me, but yeah, so shouldn't have been there. They've asked the residents in the area of Mar-a-Lago to check their CCTV cameras to see if they can get any further information, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see what story they tell us. Hello, Anna. Come in, get comfy. Grab your beverage of choice and we will continue. Yes, so we've done Scott Bessent, we've done The Intruder at Mar-a-Lago, which is a storm in a teacup in the grand scheme of things, but is a horrible tragedy because a 21-year-old man has lost his life for whatever reason. And as I say, I am not criticising the Secret Service. I'm criticising whatever it was that got Austin Tucker Martin to such a point where he would drive all the way from Cameron, North Carolina at age 21 to pick up a gun and a gas canister to infiltrate the Mar-a-Lago estate and do whatever he was going to do. Thank the Lord that he didn't get to do whatever he was going to do and hurt anybody else, but still very, very, very sad. So, shall we move on to Mexico? I feel like we ought to. Whew. As I say, the short version is, I think, if this was the cartels and this was the Mexican forces, we went like this, then like this, and then like this, and we're here, and we're just deciding where we're going to go here, whether here is going to crush here back down to here, or whether here is going to just explode and it's all going to kick off. So, I've tried to organise it because I've been making notes all flipping day, and it's been breaking news all day, so please forgive me if... Yeah, absolutely. Laurie was just sharing that as a court reporter, she would often think, what brings people to this moment? As a human, you would, wouldn't you? Long before you're sitting down and being all judgy McJudgerson. And our Taoist proverb at the end is a beautiful story about not being judgy McJudgerson because you just don't have all the facts ever. So, Mexico. A state of emergency. Are you all ready for Mexico? Shall I crack on? Because I don't want to run late because we'll run into Glenn because it's Sunday, so it's Q&A, so we're starting at 8 p.m. Eastern time with Glenn. So we'll make sure we finish by about 10 to at the latest, 1:45 if we can. But we want to get it all done. So we're all ready for Mexico. So a state of emergency has been officially announced. I've tried to divide it up into the background, what's happened today, and the latest news. So background. El Mencho, this super duper, see you later, Gina, see you at Glenn's, the head of the Jalisco Nuevo Generación Cartel Jalisco Nuevo Generación. So the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, the CJNG is the name of the cartel. And they are one of the most wanted drug trafficking organizations, with him being one of Mexico's most wanted, and they're ultra violent. They really don't mess around. It was co-founded by El Mencho, whose real name is Nemesio Ruben Oseguera Cervantes, and he was 59 years old when he died earlier today. He co-founded the CJNG with Eric Valencia Salazar in 2010, and then they sort of became the dominant force after El Chapo was captured. And they are the big players in the drug cartels in Mexico. Today's events. With support from the US, of course. Apparently the Department of Defense, because it's called the Department of Defense because there is no such thing as the Department of War. It's the Department of Defense. Come sue me, Keg's breath. So the Department of Defense and the CIA apparently shared intelligence as to the whereabouts of El Mencho. And El Mencho apparently is, it doesn't mean anything in Spanish. It's a common, what's the word when you shorten something? Not important, really not important. But it's a common, not abbreviation. Contraction. It's a common contraction of the name Nemesio, El Mencho. So that's why he's El Mencho. The US military led the operation to capture El Mencho. It's all going really, really well, isn't it? So the plan was to capture him. And if any of you heard about the whole him being dead thing, you might have already figured out that it didn't go entirely according to plan. I mean, I would say at least a dozen dead bodies is probably, well, I don't know. With the United States at the moment, I imagine that is probably exactly the plan. But I digress. So they've got intelligence from the CIA and the DOD, and they've led a military operation with Mexican forces to capture El Mencho. There was a shootout in Tapalpa, Jalisco, which is just southwest of Guadalajara. And El Mencho was wounded quite badly. He was then airlifted to Mexico City but died en route. It's also reported that 6 of his accomplices have also died, and a number of the Mexican National Guard were also killed by the cartel members in San Isidro. I think that's their base. And I'm not sure, I couldn't find out whether the National Guard members from San Isidro were involved in the shootout and caught up in the shootout, and that's how they died, or whether they were attacked at their San Isidro base by the CJNG, and that's what prompted the latest move to go get El Mencho off the streets and to stop him doing what he's doing. So it could be either. It could be either that the Mexican National Guard, I will tell you, Laura, bear with. So either they were in the gunfire, there were deaths of the National Guard, or that's what sparked this latest effort to go get him and get him off the streets. Okay, so throughout the day, as Laura has mentioned, there were burning cars and roadblocks, and that is all being instigated by the cartels. They are hijacking cars and setting the cars alight. I've seen video of them commandeering a vehicle and the driver running away, but they've also commandeered a lorry and shot the driver to get hold of that. And so they are getting the vehicles, setting them up in the middle of the road and setting fire to them. Igor, welcome. We started a little bit earlier because we don't want to clash with Glenn. So yeah, there are burning vehicles all over the flipping shop. So you've got Guadalajara, which is quite central, and then down a bit to the southwest, you've got this area of Tapalpa, Jalisco. Yes, Chris, you're absolutely right. So we've got the roadblocks and the vehicles on fire. The states, there are 6 states and counting that are currently involved. Guadalajara, yeah, the airport in Guadalajara and the hospital. I'll come to it. Bear with. So in terms of night, Summer, take care. In terms of the states that are currently affected, as I say, it is rising. We've got Jalisco, where it started, Michoacán, Colima, Tamaulipas, Guanajuato, and Aguascalientes, which apparently means hot spa. Because I looked at it and, I'm learning Spanish. I thought, Aguas Calientes, that's hot waters, isn't it? So yeah, hot springs. And the coastal area of Puerto Vallarta, is also under siege. And the pictures that I've seen, it's looking quite scary in. Amazing. Friend there, expat lesbian who just escaped Red Florida. Oh, God. I think there are worse places to be at the moment in Mexico than Guadalajara, but that's about as positive as I can be. It's really, really kicking off in Puerto Vallarta. Vallarta. Still learning. Puerto Vallarta. It's under siege. It's just the skies are black with burning vehicles. The people are attempting to hide and evacuate in. Oh yes, sorry, Gal. So we've got Puerto Vallarta in the middle. No, we've got Guadalajara in the middle, and then we've got just down to the southwest, we've got Jalisco, where it all kicked off. And then if you go directly west to the coast, you have got Puerto Vallarta. Not going to get there, am I? You know the one I mean. So that's sort of quite central, but it's getting worse. So we've got the hospital in Guadalajara and the airport. The airport has been under siege by the cartels, and people are hiding and fleeing the hospital, which is not good news because, as we all know, Guadalajara is one of the venues for what? All say it to me. Vallarta. I love that. Thank you, Chris. Vallarta. Puerto Vallarta. Yes. Sorry. So what's happening in Guadalajara in a few short months? That's right. That's right, everybody who's is just on the tip of your fingertips. It's the 2026 FIFA World Cup in the Americas, Mexico, USA, and Canada. Yeah. Go, Igor. Go contact whoever you got to contact. Yeah, so that's not good. So what have I seen on the news reports? Oh, well, one American senator is being really flipping Vallarta. Okay. Vallarta. Okay. Yes, Senator Bernie Moreno of Ohio. He's calling for the deployment of US forces on the ground in Mexico to go in and sort it all out. So that's good because what I think you really need now is more of your servicemen and women being put in harm's way against one of the nastiest drug cartels in the whole world. So well done, Senator Moron. Is that what his name was? Yes, Senator Moron of Ohio, Bernie Moron. Within Mexico, I know, Igor. Flooded zone. It is so hard to keep up. You would think a nut job roaming around Mar-a-Lago with a rifle and a gas canister would be the biggest thing that happened today. But no. No. Oh, God, no. That's a little, oh, dear, that's sad, glad nobody else got hurt story. This is big bad news. So where are we? Public transport is suspended in many areas of Mexico, and hotels are advising their guests to stay inside. All non-essential travel in Guadalajara is being advised to be avoided. Do not go on the roads unless you absolutely have to. The military are taking control of the Mexico Central Highway. So, Anna, just to recap, like the biggest drug kingpin in Mexico at the moment, whose nickname is El Mencho, his full name is Nemesio Ruben Oseguera Cervantes, and he's the leader of the Jalisco New Generation cartel, ultra-violent cartel. And there was a US-Mexican operation to capture him, led by US intelligence, two words I often feel silly saying together. Sorry, that's not an indication of how I feel about American people. Just US intelligence. You know what I mean. And so they've given the Mexicans the intelligence so they can go get him. Unfortunately, there was big shooties and a load of people are dead. Oh, Anna, I'm so sorry. Yeah, that happened today. That's been going on today. And we've got chaos affecting Jalisco, Michoacán, Colima, Tamaulipas, Guanajuato, and Aguascalientes, and Puerto Vallarta is under siege. But I think there was movement heading towards Puerto Vallarta. So, yeah, the military have taken control of the main highways so that essential resources can move around the country. Um, there's no incursion as yet on Mexico City, but the armed forces are on alert. And a news clip I saw from like CCTV just recently was of at least half a dozen National Guard troop units being mobilized and then dispersed. So it was about 3:20 local Mexico time in Mexico City. That would be 11:20 my time, 6:20 Eastern time. They were dispersed under lights and sirens. So something was happening. They also believe that, I'm going a little bit out of order, but they believe El Mencho's body may have been transported. They saw a forensic ambulance and they believe it had El Mencho's body in it being transported to somewhere secure in Mexico City. In Puerto Vallarta, as I think somebody already mentioned, the cartel have gone through the car park and just basically set it ablaze. So everything in the car park. There's unrest in at least 15 cities at the last count, and that's still expected to rise. Black smoke plummeting across the skyline. There are 21 at last count active highway blockages in Jalisco, but the authorities are systematically dealing with them one by one to try and keep the traffic flowing. And so far, they are keeping on top of it. Oh, wow, Anna. I hope everyone's okay. If anyone needs to go to make contact with family, that's what you got to do. You got go do your, make your calls. I'm just, you can catch this. You can catch this on the news. It's just, me sitting under a teacup saying it. It's the same thing. Yeah. So the authorities are dealing with the blockages, these blockades that have been set up by the cartels with burning vehicles. But the cartel have issued demands via social media because, of course, that's how we do everything these days. So they issued a curfew order, which was to commence at 2 p.m. local time. So that is, I didn't write it down, but that's, already happened. We're past that. It's about 2.5 hours ago. They have, unfortunately, now please don't panic, but please do go and make those calls. I'm serious. The cartel have also issued, I've seen these, they were in Spanish, but I could understand enough to appreciate the translation was accurate. They will escalate at 5 p.m. local time. That's 1 a.m. here. So that's in half an hour or so. That's 8 p.m. Eastern time. If their demands are not met, they will commence targeting homes, hotels, and businesses and destroying them. This is the official statement from the cartel. They have two demands. One, they want the body of El Mencho returning to them. Good. Oh, I'm so pleased, Chris. Anna, I hope you get positive news. It must be terrifying for them. And the second thing is the problem. This is what scares me. I don't have anybody there, but I care about human beings. Their second demand is they want the surrender of all involved in the murder of El Mencho, including, but not exclusively, Mexican military, so any of the National Guard that were involved, President Claudia Sheinbaum, and the US intelligence. And they want all of those. And if they're all handed over to them in a surrender, then they won't go round everybody's houses at 5 p.m. and start destroying them. The announcement, which I'm sure you'll be able to find on social media, unfortunately, did not say anything about going around and deliberately targeting people, but they will go around and start deliberately targeting property to send a message to the Mexican government. So just please, please get your loved ones somewhere safe if this affects you. And I would just keep you in my prayers. So, unfortunately, we've done middle and then we've gone across to the west coast. We go straight down to the south coast where we've got Acapulco, massively busy tourist area. So if you know anybody who's on holiday in Mexico, in Acapulco, they've been setting car fires there as well. Anna, I'm so pleased. Thank God. So there's car fires in the tourist areas of Acapulco, burned out public buses. I've seen the footage of this. The National Guard are protecting supermarkets in Acapulco because convenience stores have already been attacked and burned to the ground with Molotov cocktails. So that's going on in touristy Acapulco. Air Canada were the first to announce flight suspensions. So they have suspended all flights to and from Puerto Vallarta. That's the coastal one on the west coast. Air Mexico have now said that they're cancelling all flights to and from 4 states in the country. The US haven't issued much of a statement, or they hadn't before I went live, but they have asked US citizens in Mexico to shelter in place in any affected areas. There have been direct confrontations on the outskirts of Jalisco between the cartels and the military, but I think that's only to be expected. That's where it was all kicking off. That's where it all started. And, at least the National Guard, the military, are fighting back. So it isn't that the cartel are rampaging across Mexico untethered. They are meeting resistance, which is the good news. All flights around Jalisco in a 10 nautical mile radius have been suspended by the military. The cartel latest intel is that they are trying to target military bases because apparently Mexico's gun laws are quite strict and there's only 2 places in the whole country. I don't know if this is true. This is just what I heard today. I know nothing about Mexico and their gun rule. But there's only 2 places you can buy weapons, and the process to get a weapon takes months. So the cartels are heavily armed and the people are not. Oh my God, Chris. Yeah, I would say take it. Absolutely. Have it here. Have it. Have the car. Have it all. Just off your pot. I'm so sorry. That's terrifying. From Igor's friend Dawn, Shah is safe. She's at home in a gated community, but she's unable to leave. The chaos is very nearby. Yeah. I'm sorry that Shah is in that kind of a situation. I'm so pleased that she is safe. At the moment, as I say, we seem to be pitched like this, cartels v government forces. And there's nothing imminently to say that the cartels are going to overwhelm the government forces. So we'll keep all Mexicans and their families and friends in our prayers tonight. That's it. We've not had an official announcement, or we hadn't when I went live, from Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum, but she is due to soon. When is soon? I don't know. To give more information about the operation, the military operation to target and capture El Mencho, what happened, what went wrong, what they're doing about it, basically. Many states have cancelled school tomorrow because they really are heeding the cartel warning to stay home. Your friend's parents had just flown back and didn't know what was going on, so made it back to their home and are locking themselves in. Oh, Chris, I'm so sorry for them. If you speak to them, if you have any contact, this goes for all of you. If any of you have any contact with any of your loved ones in Mexico, please tell them they are absolutely in our prayers and we will not stop thinking about them until they're safe. I know that does fuck all, but at least we give a shit. Yeah. They're not suffering this hidden away. We know what's going on and we're praying that it gets resolved quickly. So we've done the body of Almancho troops. Yes, troops have been reported recently, literally just before, because it's in pen, not print. Troops were seen entering Puerto Vallarta to try and recapture the area by force because it really had kicked off there. And there's been no announcement by the UK. I did look about 10 minutes before I went on, and the only, if I Google UK announcement Mexico, it says we're keen to establish good trade relations with Mexico. So we've said absolutely bugger all so far. So there will be Britons caught up in this somewhere, and I pray that they're safe too. I second Igor's message to Chris. If there is anything we can do, there probably isn't, but if there is, we're your family now. We are a family. Which army is fighting the cartels, Mexico or the US? At the moment, it's the Mexico National Guard. The Mexican military are the ones on the ground fighting. It was US intelligence that helped the Mexican authorities target where to find El Mencho, and the rest is where we are now. I'm just seeing if there's anything updated on the telly box. No, just what I've said. And I found a great guy who's really, really great independent reporter called 2C TV on YouTube. And I got an awful lot of my information from 2C TV. That is TOUSITV, 2C TV. And he's doing a great job. But there are lots of other people. I'm watching somebody else right now. I don't even know. Agenda Free Media. That's who I'm watching at the moment. And he's not as dynamic as 2C, but he's got a lot of the receipts. So, ladies and gentlemen, unless there are any questions, which I probably wouldn't be able to answer anyway. Oh, does anyone think the US might get involved? Igor, you obviously missed it when I mentioned how the Ohio Senator, Bernie Moron, I don't know if that's how he pronounces it, Moreno, Bernie Moron, he is calling for the deployment of US forces on the ground in Mexico. So that's good. Yeah. All these no more foreign wars. He's Republican. I don't know. Did I need to tell you that? You knew that, didn't you? Yeah, we all knew that. So, Agenda Free Media, yeah. That's why I was watching. It's pretty good. Moron works very well. I thought so. You know, call a spade, and that's what we do as Brits. We're not great at, you know, getting excited and protesting on the streets. We'll do it. We'll do it if really pushed. But we will call you a silly name. Yes, you'd have to assume red, wouldn't you? So, what's the time, girls and boys? It's 1:45. I think now is the perfect time to wind up all the nonsense, sit back and relax with our Taoist parable for this evening in place of a prayer. Is that all right with everyone? So, sit back, relax, close your eyes. I think I first heard this parable in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous, and it just hit me somewhere. Oh, that's good, Eagle. Eagle's question for Glenn. I'll just quickly do this. You're a US Senator on the Judiciary Committee. What questions would you ask of a SCOTUS nominee and why? Full disclosure is for a class assignment, civil rights law at your local community college. But I promise not to plagiarise anyone. I'm just interested in taking a kind of survey of ideas and getting other perspectives. Basically, at this point, I have two. Igor, you know what you need to do? You need to get yourself onto the Discord and we'll do a thing and we'll all join in. Chris, do your magic with Igor. Get Igor onto the Discord so that we can help answer her question and get her the best marks possible. Yeah, exactly. The answer, listen to Not Luma, she's smart. The answers disappear here. So if we get you hooked up on the Discord, we can do a whole little thread. Apparently that's a thing. I don't know. I'm an absolute idiot when it comes to the Discord. Igor, you have the invite. You know what to do, and we will give you more opinions than you can shake a stick at. Right, no more questions. Everybody relaxed? You all got your beverages of choice? I'm just going to have a little sip of mine to wet the whistle. I and my big boy are... Sorry, Igor. Well, I'll let everybody else do it if they're not listening to the parable. I have to focus. I loved this parable so much that when I had the blessing for my little baby, I was in a mother and baby mental health unit in a psychiatric hospital with severe postnatal depression. And so many of my friends and family came to the beautiful non-denominational chapel. And myself and my big son, who was 12 years old then, we read this, and he read the parts of the old man, but I will read it as a story. So this is The Old Man and the White Horse. There's an old parable about an old man and his white horse. In this parable, the old man has a beautiful white horse. He could sell it and amass a large fortune. The old man chooses to keep it in a stable and never sells the horse. His neighbours think he's crazy, telling him that there will come a day the horse is stolen and the man will have nothing. That day came. Waking up one morning, the horse was not in its stable, was nowhere to be found. The man's neighbours were right all along, and they rushed to tell the man he was now cursed because he had lost everything. The man's response was profound. Don't speak too quickly. Say only that the horse is not in the stable. That is all we know. The rest is judgment. If I've been cursed or not, how can you know? How can you judge? The people were offended by what the man said. How can you say this? They asked. It is clear that you are cursed, no matter what your perspective might be. The old man spoke again. All I know is that the stable is empty and the horse is gone. The rest I don't know. Whether it be a curse or a blessing, I can't say. All we can see is a fragment. Who can say what will come next? What a fool, the neighbours thought. After several days, though, the horse returned. He'd not been stolen at all, but run away. On his return, he brought with him 12 wild horses. Now the neighbours had to come out to tell the man that he was right all along, and in fact he's a blessed man because now he has a whole herd of horses. The man responds again. Once again, you go too far. Say only that the horse is back. State only that 12 horses returned with him, but don't judge. How do you know if this is a blessing or not? You see only a fragment. Unless you know the whole story, how can you judge? You read only one page of a book. Can you judge the whole story? You read only one word of one phrase. Can you understand the entire sentence? The man's neighbours found it hard to argue with this. Maybe he's right, they said. But deep down, they knew the old man was wrong. He had 1 horse, now he has 13. How could he say he isn't blessed? Well, the old man had a son, his only child. The son set to breaking in these wild horses. When one of them viciously flung him off, he landed and broke both his legs. The neighbours were awestruck at the man's wisdom. He was right and we were wrong, they thought. The old man, being too old to do much on the farm, no longer had his son available to work the land. With no one tending the farm, he would likely lose his income. This was true for the old man's neighbours who had sons that were never to return home. I'm missing a page. But it's okay because I know the story. Then a neighbouring city declared war, and all the young men of fighting age were forced to go and fight. And it was a brutal and a bloody war, and many of the young men did not return. The old man was right all along. The neighbours went to the old man and said to him, weeping, "You were right. We were wrong. Your son's accident is a blessing. And while his legs are broken, you will have many more years with him," they said. "We will not. Our sons have gone. You're blessed, and we are cursed." The old man responded one final time. "It is impossible to talk with you. You always draw conclusions. No one knows. Say only this. Your sons had to go to war, and mine did not. No one knows if it is a blessing or a curse. No one is wise enough to know. Only God knows." And the message that I take from that is absolutely don't be doing the judgy thing, because you never, ever, ever see the whole picture. You have to really zoom out to a position where a higher power is able to see, to know everything that's going on. And unless you do, you can only deal with what you've got in front of you. So just do your best with what you've got in front of you. And then when things change, you adapt, and then you do your best again, and you'll be okay. And we don't have to judge anybody else. We could just be kind and look after each other. And I think it's almost time for Glenn. Yeah. So I will let you all get away, nip to the toilet, and look forward to seeing you back here tomorrow night. And with that, it's not quite 1 a.m, but we've been here almost an hour. And I think it's time the cafe was